Oh, ha, ha, ha. That's awesome. So yeah, what you just witnessed is what happened to me about probably about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. Oh, look at this crap. Thank you, Shinko. Thank you so much for leaving me stranded on the side of the highway and what looked to be a perfectly good time, but it is Shinko, so what can I say? It was the life of the man that didn't want to spend any money in his motorcycle, and well, thankfully, I mean, it wasn't me, so I can't really blame myself for that atrocity of a tire right there. But don't buy Shinko tires. Just don't do it. Don't do it at all. Basically, the bike came with Shinko tires, and yes, you'll find out a lot of people have very bad feelings or nothing good to say. Let's say nothing good to say about Shinko tires. And obviously, because that's what I work in the industry, and everybody that talks about Shinko tires doesn't talk positively about them. It's very easy to blame Shinko for what happened, but I'm going ahead and call them out on social media because I was not happy that at highway speeds that tire would just give out the way that it did. And Shinko, to their credit, were extremely quick to take care of business. And well, you're about to find out how well they took care of me. But Jay, oh, he's in his own world. I had the headphones on, but they went ahead. There's my Yamaha, and there's some tires. They hooked me up with some tires. Hey, we want you to give it, give us a fair shot, because granted, that bike did not come with original Shinko tires. I mean, what I mean by that is it didn't come Shinko tires stock on that bike. So it was the second set of tires on that bike. The bike had 7,700 miles when I bought it, and there's no telling what condition the tires were in. I mean, they looked in good condition. I didn't see much dry rot when I initially started riding it, make sure the PSI was right on it. And anyway, they hooked me up with some Shinko tires, so we're gonna go ahead and install those after I go eat, and probably get some commentary from technicians that have been in the business for about 20 years each. So they've been in there for a while, and you'll find out real quick what I mean by not a lot of good commentary when it comes to Shinko tires. So let's go. So if you ask that guy right there what he thinks about Shinko tires, he'll probably put them on blast in a hot second. Oh, ha, ha, ha. But what do you think about Shinko tires?
Crap. Junk.
What do you think about
Not today.
Throwback to Shop Talk days. Today. What do you think about Shinko tires?
Not today. Or ever.
Not today or ever. That's a general consensus around the shop. So this is why I was quick to call Shinko out, but they were quick to respond. So we had some food. Oh, let's take these suckers out. So this is what I got. That's a rear tire right there, 150/70 R17 and a 110/80 R19. There are tubeless tires, and quite frankly, very cheap if you were to buy Shinkos. But again, as you just heard, there's a reason why they're cheap, at least to the common knowledge of people in the industry. So let's move my bike on the lift and let's get cracking. We're gonna go ahead and put a jack under it so it can put that rear tire up, the kickstand down, or center stand rather, and then yeah, gonna start putting tires out. So now that we have it back on its center stand, I'm gonna put another jack on the front, so when we get to that front tire, it'll be easier to take apart. But for now, I'm gonna loosen up the armature on the rear brakes and take that stupid thing out. So.
I think it's all angels just walk by. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a soul. Now there goes a sight from my there goes a sight. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. There goes a sight from my soul. I think it's all angels just walk by. 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 There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my
And just like that, the rear tire is done, and I have to go back to work because I only get so much time for lunch to do all this. But there it is. I'll have to show you the rear tire because it looks like it took some damage. How you doing? Right there, and it went all the way through. I can see the light on the other side. Woo. Yeah, that's not good. Oof.
One eternity later.
So now that we've taken the front tire off, granted there's nothing wrong with the front tire, but Shinko did send me a pair to try them out, and well, try them out we will. So go ahead, we will go ahead and change those two, and we should be on the road today, hopefully. Very excited about that.
There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. There goes a sight from my soul. I think it's all angels just walk by. 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 There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my there goes a sight.
Well, I just did something stupid. Since I took front and rear calipers off, I forgot to pump the brakes, and so when I was pulling it off the lift, I had no brakes to slow it down, so that was close. But there it is, both the wheels and tires on there. Hopefully I did everything right and nothing bad will happen, which is not what you want to think about when you're riding a motorcycle. But anyways, let's get on the road. Whew, well, it has been several months after the fact that I recorded all that footage, and I rode the Tenere for about 4 months, give or take. I recently sold it and bought an FXR, and what I can tell you, I will tell you this. when you buy a Shinko tire, there's certain expectations, right? Because in this industry, I guess they kind of burned themselves for a while, but I will say there was a couple things that I was surprised. Well, we all know that it's a softer rubber compound, so they're extremely sticky. And well, when you have a tire that is like that, it's not designed to necessarily go 10,000 miles. And well, that's the reality. And so I know that a lot of people use them to go stunting because I mean it's a cheap tire and it hooks like you would not believe. The tires that I got were 70-30. It means 70% off-road, 30% on-road, and I mean they stuck to the ground so amazingly on the highway. Really good. Now the reason why I say I might have had to retract my previous comment when it first happened is because when I got the motorcycle, again, I didn't know how well the guy before me treated those particular set of tires, because it was an adventure bike, meaning that if he went off-roading with it, he probably took some air out to get better traction and maybe didn't put the air back in it to where it was worthy to be on the road, and maybe that caused some damage. That is also a possibility, so that I really appreciate that Shinko reached out, I mean immediately, to make that right. Which takes me to my next point. My next point being that when I was talking to my friend Anthony, who's a rep for Hard Drive, he actually uses Shinko tires on his FXR and some of his other motorcycles, and he was very clear as to why Shinkos are as cheap as they are. The reason being is that they don't spend a lot of money on marketing. Granted, a lot of people say, well, it's a cheap tire because it's a cheap tire, cheap components, cheap material, and maybe that was the case before, but it's not anymore, at least to my assessment of the situation. Now, if you're going to buy a Shinko tire, you need to keep certain things in mind. After talking to several people that still use Shinko tires, I have friends that still use them and swear by them, but I will tell you this, you're not going to get a ton of miles out of them because of the type of tire that it is. So you have to keep that in mind, and you can't get mad at Shinko when you don't get that kind of mileage out of your tires. Now, the biggest issues that I've seen in the past, but it had never happened to me, but you keep hearing about it, is just horror stories about tires blowing up and whatnot. Well, obviously that happened to me, but there's certain circumstances that need to be taken into consideration, so I retract my comment of it not buying Shinko tires. There is a time to buy Shinko tires. I would buy them if I had a commuter that just, if I lived in the city, sure, I would buy Shinko tires on my Dyna, on my FXR, whatever. But if I was gonna put it on a tour or on a bagger, I probably personally wouldn't do it. Maybe some people would, but that's kind of my assessment of it. Shinko Tire is really quick to go on social media and make things right, and I really appreciate it. A huge shout out to them, and they didn't ask for anything in return, and so this is kind of my review, short-term review, whatever. They did a good job. They're definitely not spending that kind of money on marketing, but they're very much paying attention to what everybody's saying online about them, and they want to make it right. So, yeah, there's times where I would probably have Shinko tires on my stuff, and on certain times I wouldn't. So, what do you think? What is your experience with Shinko? Drop them comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. It's so dang cold right now. Oh.